Hurricane Milton, barreling towards the Florida coast with winds of 165 mph, is not merely a weather phenomenon but a powerful reminder of nature's unpredictable force. This Category 5 hurricane, predicted to be the strongest to hit Florida in a century, is forcing millions to evacuate and face the prospect of significant losses. In this challenging time, many turn to religious faith for comfort and meaning. The Bible, with its stories of natural disasters and divine intervention, provides a unique lens through which to view and understand Hurricane Milton. The scale and power of Hurricane Milton evoke biblical descriptions of nature's destructive force. In the book of Job, chapter 38, God asks Job, "Have you entered the storehouses of the snow or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle?" This question reminds us that despite scientific and technological advances, humans still cannot fully control natural forces. In the book of Ezekiel, we see the image of wheels within wheels, a complex and powerful representation of God's presence. This image can be compared to the intricate structure and terrifying power of Hurricane Milton, reminding us of the complexity and wonder of creation. The hurricane, with its swirling vortexes and powerful winds, resembles a colossal machine of nature, reflecting the intricacy and marvel of the universe God created. As Milton approaches the Florida coast, waves tens of feet high threaten to engulf coastal communities. This scene recalls the story of Jesus calming the storm on the Sea of Galilee, as told in the Gospel of Mark. In the midst of a fierce storm, the disciples fearfully call out to Jesus, who rebukes the wind and commands the sea, "Quiet, be still." And the wind ceases, and the sea becomes completely calm. Amid Hurricane Milton, perhaps many Floridians are also praying for a similar miracle, hoping for some supernatural force to soothe nature's fury. However, it's important to remember that while the Bible contains stories of divine intervention in nature, it also teaches us about the importance of human action and personal responsibility. In the case of Hurricane Milton, this is manifested through compliance with evacuation orders and thorough disaster preparation. We can relate this to the story of Noah in the book of Genesis. When God warned of the impending flood, Noah acted by building the ark and preparing his family. Similarly, Floridians are preparing for Hurricane Milton by fortifying their homes, stockpiling food and water, and evacuating to safety when necessary. The mass evacuation process ahead of Hurricane Milton also evokes the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, described in the book of Exodus. Although the circumstances differ, both events involve moving large numbers of people in an emergency. In Exodus, the Israelites had to leave their homes and possessions in search of freedom and safety. Similarly, Floridians are having to leave their homes, jobs, and familiar lives to avoid the dangers of Hurricane Milton. Both situations demand courage, faith, and hope for a better future after overcoming the challenge. In dealing with Hurricane Milton, we also witness extraordinary acts of kindness and community spirit. People help each other evacuate, share resources, and support the vulnerable. These actions reflect Jesus' teachings on love and service, recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Hurricane Milton, with all its ferocity, is creating opportunities for these acts of love and sacrifice to be demonstrated. As Hurricane Milton causes extensive property damage, it also reminds us of Jesus' teaching in Matthew. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. This reminds us of the value of things that cannot be swept away by wind and storm: love, relationships, and faith. Hurricane Milton also raises questions about social justice and our responsibility to the most vulnerable. The Bible contains many calls to protect the poor, the widowed, and the stranger. For example, in the book of Isaiah, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. In the context of Hurricane Milton, this can be applied to ensuring that the poorest and most vulnerable are adequately supported in evacuation, relief, and reconstruction efforts. As Hurricane Milton threatens to destroy communities, it also reminds us of the importance of building strong and resilient communities. In the Acts of the Apostles, we see a description of the first Christian community. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. This community spirit can be a crucial source of strength in dealing with disasters like Hurricane Milton in the subsequent recovery process. Hurricane Milton also reminds us of our responsibility to the environment. In Genesis, we read, "The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it." This emphasizes the role of humans as stewards of creation. In the context of climate change and increasing intensity of storms like Milton, this becomes more important than ever. Finally, Hurricane Milton reminds us of the need for hope and faith in difficult times. In Romans, Paul writes, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." This doesn't mean that the hurricane is good, but it suggests that even in the most difficult situations, God can bring about something good. As Hurricane Milton continues to have severe consequences, it also highlights the concept of time in the Bible. In 2 Peter, we read, "But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." This reminds us that while the hurricane may feel endless to those experiencing it, it's just a brief moment in the larger picture of eternal time. Hurricane Milton also evokes the story of the prophet Elijah in 1 Kings. After witnessing God's power through a great wind, earthquake, and fire, Elijah hears God's still small voice. This reminds us that while God may be present in powerful natural phenomena like Hurricane Milton, He often speaks to us through quieter, more subtle means. In the chaos of the storm, we need to seek moments of stillness to hear God's voice. Hurricane Milton also highlights the importance of spiritual and mental preparation, not just physical preparation. In Ephesians, Paul writes, "Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand." Although this passage speaks of spiritual warfare, it can also apply to preparing to face challenges like Hurricane Milton. Spiritual preparation can help us face difficulties and trials with greater calm and courage. In the book of Daniel, we read about Daniel's 3 friends being thrown into a fiery furnace but miraculously protected. This story can bring hope to those facing the destructive power of Hurricane Milton, reminding them that God can protect us even in the most dangerous situations. Although not everyone will be protected from every impact of the storm, this story reminds us of God's presence and power in our most difficult moments. Hurricane Milton also reminds us of the story of God's covenant with Noah after the Great Flood. Although God promised never to destroy the earth by water again, storms like Milton remind us of water's power and the importance of living in harmony with nature. This covenant also emphasizes our responsibility to care for the earth and protect the environment. When Hurricane Milton finally passes and the rebuilding process begins, the lessons and wisdom from the Bible can continue to guide and strengthen the community. From Job's patience to Nehemiah's persistence in rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, from the Good Samaritan's kindness to Solomon's wisdom, the Bible provides countless examples and lessons that can be applied in the process of recovery and reconstruction. As we continue to monitor and respond to Hurricane Milton, we can find strength, comfort, and guidance in the teachings and stories from the Bible. Whether one is a person of faith or not, The lessons of compassion, resilience, hope, and community responsibility are universally valuable. And when the storm finally passes, we can hope that from the ruins, a stronger, more united, and more resilient community will emerge. A testament to the strength of the human spirit and, for many, a testament to God's grace and love.